Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel here on 2K20 with some looks at what is going to be the 10 most fun teams to rebuild on 2K20. And I don't just mean rebuild as in a one-off video. I mean rebuild as in an actual MyLeague franchise type of setting. This is going to be an alphabetical order, so it is not in 1 through 10 order of most fun to least fun or any of that stuff. It is in alphabetical order, the teams that I think would be fun to rebuild, and that also requires that they need a rebuild. So obviously the Sixers aren't going to be there because they're doing well. So are the Bucks. But the Chicago Bulls make the list as the first team in alphabetical order, and the reason why: you get Kobe White here, so that's a pretty interesting player to throw in there. The rookie out of North Carolina so far would be your starting point guard according to this, and I don't see why you wouldn't start him at 19 years of age. Then you get Zach Lavine, probably the best player on this team. He's an 85 overall, 24 years old, a 5-year player out of UCLA. Definitely an interesting player. Some youth behind him. You get Otto Porter, who hasn't really worked out the way everyone thought he would out of Georgetown, but he's still a good enough starting caliber player in this league, and you know, that's a spot you might want to look to draft in the future. You get Lauri Markkanen, the 2-year player out of Arizona. He is fantastic, had a great season last year, was one of the bright spots on a bad Bulls team. Then at center, you get Wendell Carter Jr., the 1-year pro out of Duke. 10.3 points a game last year. Another very young player to build around. And I just think that that is extremely interesting with this team. There's another 20-year-old there in Daniel Gafford out of Arkansas. I mean, you get the youth on this team. You get some veterans to come in and provide some leadership like Thaddeus Young. And it's just an interesting team with a lot of youth on it, so I do like that. That definitely brings that to the table. Cavaliers are a consideration, but in my opinion, they're just too old to really want to go with. They're old and bad. The Celtics don't need a rebuild. The Clippers don't need one right now. The Memphis Grizzlies were close to making the list, but they won't be there. The Atlanta Hawks are the second team to talk about here. Point guard Trae Young, definitely a guy you want to use, the 1-year pro out of Oklahoma. He is fun to score with, 19.1 points per game, definitely can shoot. Gotta love having him on the squad. At shooting guard, you get Kevin Huerter, who is from Maryland, the 1-year pro. He only averaged 9.7 last year, but as you can see, another guy that can clearly shoot the basketball, and you gotta love having Allen Crabbe as well. A lot of people love having him in their franchises in my leagues. You also get Cam Reddish out of Duke, the rookie. It's gonna be fun to have him on the squad, as well as DeAndre Hunter, the rookie out of Virginia. So 2 really good players there, both unfortunately playing the same position, but you'll get to split time with them if you so choose. They have some veterans there in Turner and Parsons to help out. Bembry too, Vince Carter. There's just too many small forwards. You might need to trade some when you start your MyLeague. John Collins, the 2-year pro out of Wake Forest, is another interesting player to use. The contract's only 1 year, so you definitely want to make sure you keep him. Same with Jabari Parker. You might want to keep him around out of Duke, the 5-year pro. He's only 24 years old still, so still has some room there to do some things. At center is probably the worst spot with Alex Len, Damian Jones, and Bruno Fernando. You definitely got to try and build one of these guys into something, or just draft somebody new entirely. So as we move along, the Miami Heat didn't make the list. It was close, just having Jimmy Butler on the team. You got to develop some talent, but they're not quite there yet. The Hornets, not as interesting to me. So many low overalls. If you wanted to take one of the worst teams, you would take the Hornets, but Not for my liking. Jazz don't need the rebuild, and the Kings are the third team to make the list here. Point guard De'Aaron Fox, definitely a guy you want to use, the 2-year pro out of Kentucky. He really came on strong last year, and he's gotten his due in NBA 2K20 with an 86 overall. Definitely one of the more fun players. I happen to love Buddy Hield, so that was definitely a plus for me with the Kings, and he scored 20 last year per game, so some fun guys there on the front court, or on the back court. Now on the front court, Bogdan Bogdanovic is a fun guy to use, A-minuses all the way around, but he's getting a little bit on the past fun age to use, but you do get Marvin Bagley III, who averaged 14.9 a game last year, the former number 2 overall pick. Tyler Lydon, who I love because I am a fan of the Syracuse Orange, so I've always loved Tyler Lydon. Unfortunately, he's not really done anything in the pros, but you get an opportunity here to make him do something, and he can provide some buckets off the bench from the power forward position. Caleb Swanigan, the 2-year pro out of Purdue, another guy that hasn't really done much, but he's young. You gotta be able to build the man. Dwayne Dedmon and Rashawn Holmes. I would probably start Harry Giles the third out of Duke, the 1-year pro, the 20 overall pick. 7 points per game last year. It's going to be fun to use him. Dedmon, though, really shoots the 3, so you got a lot of interesting players with a lot of different skill sets there. The Knicks also make the list. They also happen to be one of my favorite, my absolute favorite team in the NBA, unfortunately. But Dennis Smith Jr., definitely love using this guy. North Carolina State, 2nd-year pro. Came over in the Kristaps Porzingis deal. Definitely a guy you would look forward to using. Frank Ntilikina, can you use him? Can you make him good? 2-year pro from France overseas. Does he have anything to give you? So a little bit of veteran leadership here with Elfrid Payton. He's only 25, but he is a veteran of this league. Alonzo Trier, one of my favorite players on the entire Knicks roster, from Arizona. He had 10.9 per game last year. Is he somebody who you can develop into something? Damian Dotson's another fun shooter with 10.7 last year, 2nd-year pro out of Houston. I like him a lot. And a lot of nice veterans leadership here that can also shoot the basketball in Wayne Ellington and Reggie Bullock. Small forward, you get 2 19-year-olds between R.J. Barrett, the rookie out of Duke, and Kevin Knox II, the 1-year pro out of Kentucky, averaged 12.8 a game last year. 2 very fun guys. Personally, I think R.J. Barrett is probably going to be more of the shooting guard of the team, but I guess he could be small forward. Brzezikis, the rookie out of Michigan. Don't know too much about him, actually, but he should be another interesting player for this team. The big signing, Julius Randle. I know a lot of people make fun the Knicks didn't get anybody big, but Julius Randle, I think, is a decent signing for them. 5-year pro out of Kentucky, 21 points a game last year with the Pelicans, and he'll definitely be a top scoring option with the New York Knicks. Mitchell Robinson, another one of my favorite players, 1-year pro out of high school, and 7.3 points per game, so definitely look to build with him. So the Knicks, very young, very fun. The Lakers do not need the rebuild. The Magic, though, do make the list for me, personally. You get Markelle Fultz. Can you make him do anything out of Washington here? He has not had the greatest career being the number 1 overall pick. Is he something that you can turn into a player of sorts? Then you turn around, you get Melvin Frazier Jr. out of Tulane, the 1-year pro. He didn't do much last year, but it's another guy. Maybe you send him to the G League, maybe you don't. Can you develop a guy like that? But those are 2 guys behind incumbent veterans that you have to decide if you can do something with them. Jonathan Isaac is a fun player, a 2-year pro, 6 overall pick out of Florida State. And he only had 9.6 points a game last year. These are guys that need development. It's a definite team you'd want to go with if you are into developing players on teams. Aaron Gordon, the 5-year pro out of Arizona, is probably the top scoring option here, and he's going to need some help. Can you bring in some help? Vucevic is a very nice scoring option for the Magic here with a 16th. He was drafted 16th overall 8 years ago out of USC. So him and Gordon, really the two top scorers. Mohamed Bamba, definitely a guy I'm interested to see his development, the 1-year pro out of Texas. So some guys that are very young behind some incumbent veterans make this team kind of interesting for now and the future. The Mavericks also make the list here, and the reason why is you have Jalen Brunson out of Villanova. Gotta love him. I loved watching him out of Villanova. He was only a second-round pick, and he's already got himself in position to take the top point guard spot in Dallas. Okay, there is some incumbent veterans behind that, like J.J. Barea and Seth Curry, guys that can also play and do very well to try and take minutes away from him. Tim Hardaway Jr., always a player I've kind of liked. He's gotten a little bit of a bad rap for the contract he got with New York, but Tim Hardaway Jr., still a decent player, 6-year pro out of Michigan. I do like him a lot. Okay, then you move on. You get Luka Doncic, one of the best young players in the league, only 20 years old out of Slovenia, and the 1-year pro was a 21-point-a-game scorer last year. Justin Jackson, the 2-year pro out of North Carolina, is also very interesting. There's no way he starts over Doncic, but maybe coming off the bench, he can be a nice scorer for you. Kristaps Porzingis, one of my favorite players in the league. Also, the 3-year pro here out of Latvia, also scoring 22.7 points per game the last time he touched a basketball. Of course, missed pretty much all last year. So, interesting team you got going on here. And as far as center, there's nobody that amazing. Dwight Powell is here, 5-year pro out of Stanford, averaged 10.6 a game last year. But you got the 2 Europeans, and after that, you got to develop some guys, bring some more guys in, and see what veterans can really fill roles for you. Moving on, Brooklyn Nets don't any longer need a rebuild. They're looking pretty good. The Nuggets don't need it right now. They're pretty much going to be a perennial playoff team for a while. The Pacers were close to making the list, but ultimately decided they had too many good players on the team. And the New Orleans Pelicans will make the list here. It's going to be a very popular team to use in MyLeague this year just because of the trade between Anthony Davis going to the Lakers and guys like this. Lonzo Ball, the 2-year pro out of UCLA, coming over to the Pelicans. He's definitely an interesting guy to use. Drew Holiday is probably the best player on this team. 21.2 points per game last year. Came on strong here with New Orleans in this most recent signing. He's a 10-year pro and he's 29 years old, so he's been around a long time. J.J. Redick, one of the best 3-point shooters, maybe of all time when all is said and done. We will see. But he's a very good 3-point shooter and a very good role player to have. Josh Hart out of Villanova is an interesting player to have on your team as well, coming over in the Laker trade. Same with Brandon Ingram, another nice young player that can score some points. So if you look at guys that scored last year, if you get 10 at Alonzo, if you get 21 at a Holiday, you're looking at 31 points. If you get 18 here, you're looking at 59 points. And then it's Zion Williamson. What can he do for you, the 18-year-old out of Duke? It's going to be interesting. Derek Favors out of Georgia Tech. He scored 11.8 on Utah last year, so he can provide you another maybe 11 points. Jahlil Okafor can provide another 10 points maybe potentially if he reaches the potential we all know he has out of Duke. And then Jackson Hayes out of Texas, a very interesting rookie 8th overall pick. some young players, just like the Knicks, just like the Bulls, a lot of young players with the Pelicans, and just the right amount of veterans playing the right role to make this an interesting team. The Pistons were close, but I did not decide on them. The Raptors don't need it. They just won the chip. The Rockets don't need it. They're always in like the second or third round of the playoffs. The Spurs, while you could say they need it because they haven't been there in a while, it's not important enough for me to go after. The Suns, however, do make it. I did a NBA Live 19 Suns franchise. Mostly simulation with a little bit of gameplay, but here you get the Suns, you get Ricky Rubio, the 8-year player out of Spain, and he's interesting because you don't really know what he's going to give you, especially this being the big signing for the Phoenix Suns. It's going to be interesting. Devin Booker is your top dog on this team. 4-year pro out of Kentucky, 26.6 points a game scorer. Mikal Bridges I like as well out of Villanova, the 1-year pro, 10th overall pick. So 2 decent players to use there. Kelly Oubre Jr., the 4-year pro out of the Rockhawk Jayhawks. Shout out to Octagonal Gaming. He's doing a Hornets MyLeague, so go check him out. 15.2 points per game for Oubre, and he's definitely an interesting player as he shoots the best from mid and then inside, and 3-point being the same. So he's the only small forward on the team, though, so that's kind of interesting. You got Cheek Diallo, the 3-year pro out of, again, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. He went undrafted. Dario Saric from Croatia, he's interesting. There's a lot of interesting young-ish players on this Suns team. DeAndre Ayton, definitely a guy you would enjoy using in the low post. Out of Arizona, the former number 1 overall pick. And Frank the Tank Kaminsky, the former 9th overall pick out of Wisconsin. Gotta love him too. The former Hornet. Again, shout out to Octagonal Gaming. But I do like the Suns team, even though there's no chance that I would use them this year. Oklahoma City Thunder is a team that a lot of people are probably going to be using, mostly due to the fact that they have so many draft picks, but they do have an interesting team as well. They don't make my list, though. It is the Minnesota Timberwolves who do make it. You have an old point guard in Jeff Teague here, 10-year pro out of Wake Forest. Definitely want to find somebody you can more grow with for a long-term franchise. As far as shooting guards, though, you have Jarrett Culver, the rookie out of Texas Tech, the 6th overall pick. He's an interesting player to use. You got Josh Okogie, the 1-year player out of Georgia Tech, and you have Jalen Noel, the rookie out of Washington. So 3 extremely young players at shooting guard. Small forward, you still get Wiggins, the 5-year pro out of Rockhawk Jayhawk, and you get Robert Covington now, the 6-year player out of Tennessee State. So some veterans, I guess you could call Wiggins a veteran now that he's been around for 5 years, but there's a lot of decisions to be made here at small forward. At power forward, you get Noah Vonleh. I love Noah Vonleh, former Knick. 5-year pro out of Indiana, the 9 overall pick by Charlotte. Okay, and then you get Naz Reid, the undrafted rookie out of LSU. That's got to be interesting. What do you do with him? What can he do? And, of course, you get one staple player for your franchise that you want to keep around, that you're going to have to pay, that's going to strap you from signing 2 max players every year in free agency. You can't just build through free agency. You got to build through the draft because you're paying this young man, Karl Anthony Towns, Cat out of Kentucky, the 4-year pro. Definitely the leading scorer. Definitely everything runs through him. If he gets hurt, you're dead in this series. Okay, Trailblazers I thought about, but nah. Warriors, definitely not. The Wizards are the final team to make the list, and the final team that's here in alphabetical order. And the reason why the Wizards make it is you got Bonga here, who's a 1-year pro from Germany, but he is nowhere near ready. You have Isaiah Thomas and Ish Smith, two old backup point guards. And then, of course, you have the drama surrounding the John Wall and Bradley Beal rumors of being traded off the team. So you can go with many different ways of storylines in your Wizards MyLeague. Do you try to trade John Wall? Do you try to trade Bradley Beal? Do you try to get them a championship with them both on the same team? It is very interesting, and let me tell you, I took the Wizards into a MyLeague just to take a look, and you're not getting any good trades putting both of these guys up together or separately, so that makes the decision that much harder. Rui Hachimura out of Gonzaga, definitely an interesting guy to use as a rookie. Troy Brown Jr., the rookie from last year out of Oregon, 15th overall pick. Two interesting players to use at small forward. At power forward, you don't have a lot here. I mean, Jamario Jones, the one-year undrafted player out of New Mexico State, and Davis Bertans out of Latvia. Both guys that really probably aren't the future, but Bertans, at least he can shoot an A three-pointer. At center, though, you do have Thomas Bryant, the 2-year pro out of Indiana, second-round pick, and he did pretty well last year with 10.5 points per game, and he proved that he can play some ball. Moritz Wagner out of Michigan, the 1-year pro, 25th overall pick. He only had 4.8 points per game last year, but who knows, maybe he can come up and rise up the rankings. So those are my picks for the top 10 teams that you could use in an NBA 2K20 MyLeague or MyGM. What do you guys think of the list? What teams would you have put on the list or taken off? What are your top 10 teams in general? Comment that in the comment section below. I am probably going to be restarting a MyLeague. We will see. And that announcement will be coming soon, because I just don't like the way things are going on the channel right now. And I appreciate all you guys for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and just finding this through this video. I would really appreciate subscribing and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any MyLeague content or NBA 2K20 content that I would be dropping here in the coming months, as well as other content on the channel, because it is franchise content all day, every day here on Franchise Gaming. Thank you guys again, and I will see you all next time.